Hey guys, it's Kevin. Welcome to the Kevin Duragi Show. Today we're going to talk to Felix Garcia. Some of the stuff we're going to talk about. Actually, we're going to reference Cain and Abel, I believe, twice in this talk. We're going to talk about strong women, sometimes absent fathers, but also just how faith grows and things happen and good and bad things will happen. Like he talks about a lawsuit and some forging moments, right? When you get sometimes into a bunch of debt. You go to college, you get this debt. What do you do, right? How real estate sometimes is that tool that gives you some crazy advantages, and also just investing in general. Hey, welcome back to the Kevin Duragi Show. I'm your host, Kevin Duragi. It is so awesome that you're here with us. Today, we have a special guest. It is Felix Garcia, a.k.a. the Financial Pastor. So we're going to start our chat with Felix right now. Hey, Felix, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic. I am so excited to be participating with you these next couple of minutes that we have together.
Awesome, man. Great to have you. So I have to start. So you were referred over by Mary F. and Cain. So we have a mutual friend there. It's funny. We've had a little chat before we got started, but it's like, wow, I can see where you just jive, like energies and personalities. It sounds like you speak a lot. Is that true?
I do just a little bit, and Mary knows me, and I love Mary F. and Cain because she is an amazing woman. I've seen her grow from from just becoming an entrepreneur, how she's just taking and just ran with it. And what I love about her is that she never gives up. She's a fighter. She fights for everything that she has. And, and I love that about her. There's certain people that you meet in your life that you could be like, okay, I love her chutzpah. I love the way she fights. She reminds me of my mother a little bit, like that strong character. And I love her. So very much Mary F. and Cain.
That's awesome. Props to Mary. Now, Felix, this is our third appointment to have a conversation or so. But apparently, you keep popping into like Hawaii and Texas and all these other places. What do you do?
Well, thank God, God has opened doors for me. So I love battling financial illiteracy. So I get to speak to a lot of entrepreneurs, some faith-based, some in the secular industry. And I love speaking into entrepreneurs' lives. And I'm part of an organization that allows me to do that. I play a very small part of it, but I get to go to some very cool places. I was just in California, in Fresno, Santa Ana, and then I was also in Hawaii, which is not a bad place to be if you have to suffer for the kingdom.
Out there, yeah. Boy,
hey, I was trying to work on my tan a little bit, but Hawaii definitely has my heart. You have so many beautiful people from the islands that really love people, and their hospitality is par none. I mean, they're very beautiful people. I think I might have gained like 10 pounds with all the food they fed me there. That's just pretty serious right there.
That's awesome. So, Felix, I have to say, you got an accent. Where are you from?
Well, if you guys can't hear this accent, I've never been confused of being from Birmingham, Alabama. But if you can hear it, it's a strong one. So my story is I'm born and raised in New York City. My mom's a little short Hispanic little woman. She's the type of woman that will cut you if you try to mess with her two boys. But she's also the type of woman that will cut you a piece of pie if she really, really, really liked you. So early on, I learned a lot of great things from my mother. All the good things that I've learned from life, like how to open a car door for a lady, how to walk on the outside of the sidewalk so the lady's walking on the inside. I learned how to be a man from a strong mother. And she taught me the great things, like go to school, get an education, get that good job. But, sometimes God changes our destination. When you think you're going one way, God says, no, I need you to go here. So when I was around 24, God miraculously completely like rearrange my life, just smack me on the head and say, go here. And there was a program that someone introduced me to. It's called Teen Challenge. So Teen Challenge is a faith-based drug and alcohol program that really focuses on helping people get their life right. And it was the best year of my life. This was in the year of 2001. And I graduated in January 2002. And just my life just took another turn where I followed the counsels of my pastors and just ended up going to Bible college in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So now I'm a Northern cowboy, if you can believe that.
Yeah, I don't think they have too many of those.
No.
Teddy Roosevelt, he was from New York, Oyster Bay.
Absolutely.
Rough
He's
Riders.
the closest thing that I could relate to who's an aristocrat that came and has Southern values. And I really, Teddy Roosevelt is actually one of my favorites. But yeah, I get picked on a lot because my wife is actually a Southerner and I'm the one with the cowboy boots. I'm the one with the belt buckle. And it's the funniest thing, but I love it. I stick out like a sore thumb in Chattanooga, but my accent really opens up doors for you. So if you have an accent and you're out there, your accent, whether you might think is not the most favorite, it opens up doors for you. And whether you're from a different country or a different state, or you're a Southerner living in a Northern state, your accent and your spirit just opens up doors for you. And that's what I have found in my life that has happened.
I would also say your eyes and your big mouth kind of help too.
Yeah, I mean, that too.
It kind of, big smile does change things.
Well, it matches my name. Felix means happy. You know, like Feliz Navidad. So Felix means happy. And a fun fact, which is my mother's name is Dolores Garcia. And Dolores, it's the root word comes from pain. So my mother was born during after the Great Depression, during 1939. She was born, and there was a time of turbulence, and her parents named her Pain. As nuts. It is really nuts. And then I look at it now, and I'm like, but my mom named me Happy. So from Pain to Happy, and my mom never went by the name Dolores. She always went by the name of Lola. So Lola, she kind of changed her name, like it's just been Lola. So it is the funniest thing, and my name matches my personality. And if you ever met anyone named Felix or someone who has the name Joy, generally they're very happy people.
Oh, that's awesome. No, that's cool. I never knew Felix meant happy or Dolores meant pain. I wish we had more people had like interesting root names. It used to like mean something when you had a name.
Well, this is the cool thing. And many of you that are listening out there is that your name means something. Everything from the Bible times, your name meant something. From even when you looked at the word from Abel and Cain, and when Cain murdered his brother, he had a son and he named him Enoch. Enoch means now educated. So Cain understood the error of his ways. And it's the most fascinating thing. Like, we could go down through people's names, and your name is not by accident. Your name means something, and usually you take on your name and personality. It's one of the weirdest things, but it's really, that's how they named people. It was either through the situation they were going through or what their name wanted to mean.
So, all right, I didn't expect we'd get into a name talk here. So I've always hated my name. Like Kevin, I mean, come on, how many good Kevins do you know, right? There's a short list.
There's a lot of great Kevins.
So I always wanted a cool name, right? I'm a history buff. So I want these, like we named our kid Alexander, right? Because, the most winning general is Alexander. So not just Alexander the Great, but there's Harold Alexander, and there's other generals named Alexander. So I always wanted to like be named after my dad, like a little legacy type thing, Jacob. Yeah. Never happened. Kevin. Turns out, do you know what Kevin means? I was named by my sibling.
I don't know. So what does it mean?
As a kid, I had this little placard. You know how you have your name and it means these two things? It means kind and gentle. You don't want to be growing up as a teenager with your name like, here's kind, gentle. It's like, that sucks. And it's now I'm in my 40s, and I'm like, son of a bitch, I'm kind and gentle. Like you don't sometimes.
That's what happens. And usually you take on your name. And that's why I think of it is if your name is Victor or Victoria, you're strong, you're Victor. If your name is Joy, you're going to have joy. If your name is Eileen, well, you probably lean a little bit, you lean. So you take on your name, and some of you should do study of your name and also your last name, and you can see the power that your parents have and thought out when they named you that. And I look at that as I named my daughter. We were very thoughtful on what we named her because we wanted her to take we wanted to take on the persona of her name. And that's a beautiful thing. So Felix is happy. So I believe I'm here to bring joy to the world, and through either motivation or just being a friend. And that's what I believe that God is wanting us, is to be a friend, especially in these turbulent times, man. We want to get back to where we could be brothers and sisters, where we could all get together and really grow as a family. And what's one thing about family fights. And we could see how a lot of the last few years, a lot of us has maybe like family we fought, but you start looking at we're here to really build each other up. And if your name is kind and gentle, brother, you live it. You live it, brother. I could see it. I could see it in your demeanor, and I'm pretty sure that the people around you really see that in you, and that's what opens up doors for you.
It's not always, you got to protect your heart. You got to protect things a little differently. Like, in my personal life, since we're kind of on this, like, it's why I've had tenants when I was earlier on, I was the property manager, right? Oh, Kevin, I can't pay, or I can only pay you that. That's fine. That's fine. In my world, I was flipping bunches of houses, right? Making thousands of dollars. I'm not as worried for a couple $100. It's like, whatever. I had a tenant end up living in one of my houses for 9 months.
Yep.
Free. And I was like, okay, it's time to go. So you could really get taken advantage on that. And that's why I put in all these different property managers and all these different things.
Absolutely.
You got to learn, but it's one of those. It wasn't my highest thing I was trying to solve at the time, but you do need to make sure you have the right people around you.
And there's many people that go through exactly what you just mentioned, Kevin. And this is the thing. I'm also the type of person that I want to give breaks. I want to do that. But in business, you can't do that. So I actually hire people that are no people. I don't have the heart to do that. If it was up to me, I'll let everyone live for free. But I also have to understand I'm in business, and I'm a businessman, and I'm a businessman. So you have to differentiate, which is, okay, there's heartstrings, but there's also, you can't give a man a fish all the time. You got to teach them how to fish in order so they can feed their whole families. So that's where in the art of business, and I get this from a lot of faith-based entrepreneurs, faith-based business owners, is that a lot of them have the heart where they don't want to they don't want to be gentle to the fact that they go in default, that they're like losing money. And I've seen that to the detriment of a lot of investors. And I saw that early on, and I was like, okay, I need to separate myself. I need to just put myself in where I'm good at. I'm good at vision. I'm good at casting vision, but I need people who are runners. I need people who can actually go and drive my other company, watch my vision and just see it come through. And there's people that I have to have in certain places that are my no people, the gatekeepers, if you could call it that.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you made me think originally there, you could only give from abundance. Mm-hmm. If I had no time or no money, how can I be there for you? Like, I have nothing to give. And we have our three main tenets that we follow here, right? Your most important real estate is between your ears. Your personal drives your professional. It's all about relationships. And when I talk relationships, there's three main ones, right? Relationship with yourself, relationship with others, and just relationship with things. And then each of those are broken down. But it's one of those, like, you push and pull on this balance wheel of life. and we could sprint, but if you do a long time there, something's going to break. And I think people forget sometimes how all this stuff is interconnected.
Absolutely.
But that's part of it. So let me ask you this, Felix. You got into real estate, right? How did you go from, Teen Challenge down in Chattanooga, Tennessee into real estate?
To Bible college. So this is a funny story. So like just like every good person that comes out of Teen Challenge and come in a Bible school, I was looking for a woman of God that wanted a ring by spring. And let me tell you, I found me this beautiful woman in Bible college. Ooh, and as soon as I graduated, Kevin, from Bible college, guess what happened? She left me. She used the God card. Jesus said no. But you might have heard her name. Her name is Sally Mae. You heard who Sally Mae is? If of those of you who are learning, who are listening right now, if you took out a student loan, if you've ever had any type of student loan, you've met Sally Mae. She changed her name to Navient. She changed her name to Board of Education. So I graduated Bible college, Kevin, with over $100,000 worth of student loan debt. Really devastating. So I met this. So as soon as she left me, Sally Mae left me. And then I had to do something different. So I found myself just after Bible college thinking I was going to full-time ministry. And really, when you graduate college, they're not going to put you in a mega church. You kind of be in a small little country church. I was in Tennessee, where you're the bus driver, you're the choir director, you're the youth leader, you're everything. And I couldn't make ends meet. So I found myself driving a bus and I listened to this online, learn how to trade in the stock market. So I was like, I need this. I need to learn how to trade. So I started trading first in 2008. And little by little, I was working a job, full-time job, like many entrepreneurs, making sure my needs were met. And then I was learning how to trade. And around 2.5 years, it just took off, where I was doing well enough where I was able to draw myself away from the job. And then I found myself in around 2012, the market just crashed. You started seeing real estate deals, like a lot of foreclosures, a lot of upside down homes. And it was like, I ended up taking a course. I invested in education, and I started little by little, I started doing lease options in 2012. And then as any real estate investor, you grow. One house becomes two. Then you start doing wholesaling. And then around 2016, I really started getting the flipping bug. And then I just had a crew and I would flip, nothing huge, but anywhere from 1 to 4 houses a year, in that vicinity, 1 to 3. And I've done that for the last few years, in addition to trading in the stock market. So I love trading in this. I love both of them. It's kind of like, it is a love for both, because there has been times where I've had to switch hats, where more money is made in the stock market during a downturn. And then you have to wait till the downturn goes up before real estate starts getting more desirable or discounted. Because right now you're not finding discounted deals. You really have to search, or you're doing what's called the new lease option, which is new construction homes, which is basically you're buying at today's price. Hopefully with the inflation, by the time the construction is done, it's already gone up $50,000, $75,000 in value.
Wow, we haven't talked about that one yet. That's
that's the new construction is the lease option of today or right now. Any investor who started buying in 2022, their house is worth $75,000 to $150,000 more. Even in a small place like a Tennessee, Chattanooga area, you start looking at every southern state. What you start seeing is just so many. A lot of houses are really now staying on the market because too many people bought, and the interest rates are not going down. So for real estate investors, unless you bought prior to 2022, and this is not everyone, but you're really doing well. In the last few years has been the tricky part, fighting inflation plus high interest rates, because you're not getting the 1% rule in most situations unless you're buying low and really low.
Interesting. I hear, so like obviously I'm in St. Louis, and when we start having guests from different places, they don't get the 1% rule. They don't see like oh, just down the street I got one, over here it's one of those like, oh, not everybody has those markets, and that's why a lot of I'll like look at what Memphis or St. Louis or Kansas, some Midwest markets really do have some special abilities there to buy rentals that are cash flowing.
And that's what we're seeing is you have a lot of money from bigger states like from Missouri, they'll come into a Midwest or California, come into like a Midwest because they're buying homes for 1.5 million, like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, like 1,500 square foot home in California. They're like 1.7, 1.8 million. You come to a southern state, you get a 20 or 24 or 25 unit apartment complex for about that amount. I mean, it's not going to be a creme de la creme house, but you're looking at, many investors are looking at the Midwest as places to invest, and or it's actually easier to do bigger commercial deals than do it by single family houses, which is one of the things I've learned about flipping houses is that sometimes you buy and sell real estate so you could create cash. So you can buy and hold and create cash flow, which is through a mobile home park, storage units, apartment complex. You look at Birmingham, Alabama, you look at places like Chattanooga, this corridor where a lot of people are migrating from the northern states are migrating to the southern corridor, anything south of the Mason-Dixon line. And all you're seeing is opportunities for growth, and a lot of the northern states and coastal states are seeing that as, oh, is a discount here. And there's plenty to be made here. That's what I love about the southern state, that you can do a lot of different type of real estate deals here.
So are you still out of Chattanooga?
Still out of Chattanooga. I just fly a lot. So I got a lot of frequent flyer miles there.
So Chattanooga holds a special spot in our heart. So every year, like when I was dating my now wife, we would go down to Florida, right? Destin or one of these places there. And it was her favorite part of the year, right? To spend a week just on the beach. I get bored, but that's another thing. So we're planning on going, but sure enough, what happens is a hurricane comes up and knocks out Florida. So we can't go. It's that week out of all the times, like it happens to be her week. So their family, the Masharons, my in-laws, they adjust and we go to Chattanooga. She was not happy. She's not happy. She wants her beach. She wants her sun, all this stuff. It also happens to be the week that I chose that I was going to propose. And in my mind, it was going to be on the beach and I was going to have all these people do all these things, right? There's a whole thing that I had envisioned. So everything else that I was doing, I was like, all right, I got to find a spot. Like I didn't know Chattanooga, right? So again, history buff. So we go to Lookout Mountain, and I'm a history buff. So Civil War battlefield. We're on top of Lookout Mountain, overlooking 7 states at sunset, all the things, right? You put it on like, man, this is nice. And so I get down and I propose. She's like, what are you doing? And I was like, because she was just in a pissy mood and all, like it was just, so anyway, she ended up saying yes and was super happy. But the reason she was like, what are you doing? So I didn't want to get nervous because I hear a lot of times when the ring is in your pocket, you're always touching it. You're always, so my trick was on your belt, there was one point and your belt goes around it. So you can't see it, but it's encapsulated, right? It's safe. Yeah. So what I did, that's why she was like, what are you doing? I unbuckled my belt to get the ring. And she's like, what? But then I think she figured it out. But yeah, it was pretty awesome.
That is so funny. That is so funny. I could only imagine what she was thinking. Man, like you, I proposed to my wife in Chattanooga. We have a thing called the walking bridge. and it is one of the most beautiful sceneries. I was nervous and I was scared that, man, I can't drop the ring because it'll fall in the river and I'm done. And it's my mother's ring, which is so funny. And I gotta tell a sidebar story about a ring. I lost my wedding ring in Hawaii, so I'm over here in the ocean looking for rocks because my little girl, I have a 9-year-old daughter, so she was like, look for seashells and I want some rocks from the ocean. And I'm going and I'm like, oh, this is not a great rock. So I'm right-handed and I'm fling it with my left hand and my ring goes, and I look frantically for like 30 minutes and I had to catch a flight to come back home. I had this kid with scuba gear looking for it. So to no avail, I lost my wedding ring. So I'm thinking about either getting a tattoo or actually just getting a replacement. But my wife was very understanding, by the way. So for all you ladies out there, that happens to y'all, be understanding. Because she was very understanding. But
that's actually a fantastic story. So I am married, happily married. I don't wear a ring. I just don't wear stuff. Like, that's just not, I don't know, never really cared for it.
I just feel weird because I've worn it. I mean, we've been married, this will be 12 years. You know, it's like so weird not having it. It's like weird. I keep feeling I'm like, oh man, I don't got no ring on.
Did that just happen?
It happened literally like 3 days ago. So I just got back from Hawaii. So it literally, I mean, I was so sad. I'm on a 9-hour flight home. It was ridiculous.
So I have a tungsten carbide. So, those unbreakable rings. Well, I broke one of them. And then I switched over to the silicones. I don't know.
I'm thinking about getting like one of those silicone ones or like the hard rubber I'm thinking about that. So that or tattoo. So I've already, I'm kind of debating.
I'm thinking the tattoo is the way I'm going to go. But like, do you do her name? Do you come up with some cool like Latin?
And that's what I can't figure out. I was thinking, since I was in Hawaii, I was thinking, hey, maybe I should get something, in Hawaiian. But then I'm afraid that I'll go to a random person and say, hey, can you give me this in Hawaiian? And they end up giving me I get the tattoo and it ends up saying, you fat Puerto Rican, instead of I love you. I'm always scared of something like that. Like, it's like, oh no. So
have you seen those tattoos like from Japan where they think they're getting some cool American thing and it's like, Badgers, like somehow.
Yeah, and that's what I'm afraid of. So, but yeah, but I'll deal with this probably in the next. I'm debating what do I do? Replace the ring or just either get a tattoo? And that's kind of what I'm debating. So,
well, if you get a tattoo, I'll jump in on that story.
All right. That's cool.
Gotta have fun with this. So my wife is Cam. She'll be like, "So you got a tattoo because some guy on a podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah." His name means happy and joy. Like, of course I'm going to.
Yeah, that's what it means.
All right. So how did you get into real estate? So you did the stocks, you started merging in when you saw the housing chain. Like, how did that process work? Because how did you get involved with Mary's World? Like, how did that transition happen?
So literally how it happened is because I had to become a man and be responsible as a husband. So I got married around 2000. I got married in 2013. So I already knew that as a man, I had to be a provider. I just wanted to do my duty as being able to raise a family. So I was already in my mid 30s. And it was just, I wanted to kick it into high gear. I was doing stock. I was doing that. I was doing okay, but I wanted to do better. And it was just like, I met my wife in 2012 and then I got married in 2013. So it was just like one of those things is like, okay, there's a book that I read. It's called Turning Pro. And it's a great book of what do professionals do that amateurs and hobbyists don't do. And there's many entrepreneurs that are listening, and this message is for you is there has to be a change or it has to be a click in your mind where I got to be a professional instead of being an amateur. See, professionals, they get up early in the morning and do what they have to do. Amateurs, they sleep in. And that's where you have to take where I was like, okay, I want additional incomes. And that's where I just started pounding the pavement, putting out I buy houses sign, putting marketing, driving for dollars. I mean, from everything you could think of, I've used so many programs, and it was just, I was sold out into really doing this, from doing videos and crazy videos, like kind of like if you could picture that, that was just me, because I had a family to feed. And around 2015, I went through a very bad lawsuit. Nothing that had to do with any properties. It was a job situation, a non-compete, where I almost lost everything. And it was just like, I was like, no one's going to save me, even though, yes, I believe in God. Yes, I believe that he's going to give me the ability to get wealth, but I had to work for it. So, I mean, it was like I started repounding the pavement all over again. And it was just like now where God has taken me. And if it wasn't for real estate during the COVID time, I would have had to declare bankrupt, because it sustained me when everybody stopped working. I had cash flow coming in. Plus, I also had flips that I was doing at the time. And as many of you know, there were many people from New York, California, Nevada that was trying to buy houses in Tennessee only because we were free. And it was a God thing. Like, if it wasn't for that, like my wife, we would probably been homeless or bankrupt right now. So real estate as an investor, it really challenged me as a person, because I had to learn about building teams. I had to learn about building systems. I had to learn about me not doing everything. And that's the key that I learned about that whole time during 2016 up to 2022, is that you need a team. There's no one person warrior. And this is one of the things, is that Jesus is very important in my life. And see, Jesus was called to the whole earth. You're not. And I know for many people, for business owners, that's why they fail. They try to be everything to everyone, and you can't. And what I found out, that the key niche for me was specialization. Like in real estate, you could flip, you could do wholesale, you could do commercial, you can do mobile homes, you could do storage units, but you have to stick to one thing. And what you find is that when you find your niche, you specialize. That's why there's many, in a manufacturing company, there's certain companies that just do the screws, certain companies that just provide the paint. And what you see is God wants partnership. And whatever entrepreneurial space God has placed you in, you start seeing that God is opening up a door for you to specialize and build partnerships. That's the key to wealth. It's partnerships. Cain realized that. See, I'm going to give a story about the Cain and Abel. If you read Genesis chapter 4, is actually the first place God has ever, where man first invested in real estate. Think of this. Cain and Abel, you have two brothers. Around this time, many Jewish scholars believed that Adam and Eve were already advanced in their age at this time. And Cain, his name, and now we go back to the name. Cain's name means acquisition, to acquire. If you put his name in a modern term, he's a taker. So he went to Abel, and the Bible says is Abel and Cain, they went out to the fields, and Cain spoke to Abel. But the Bible never tells us, what did they say? That's the biggest mystery. Why did he kill his brother? What did Abel say to set off his brother? But the key in this phrase is found in the lesson. If you go straight down, it says, and Cain made a wife and bore a son. And he named him Enoch. And then 2 scriptures later, it says, and Cain built a city, which is the nuttiest thing. Well, didn't God punish Cain and say, you will build, but you won't harvest? You will plant, but you will not harvest. You will build, but no one will come live. And he built a city, but the key of it, it's in the name. Enoch means now educated. So Cain's error thought that, hey, by killing his brother Abel, he thought he was going to inherit the whole earth. But Abel was like, no, we split in it 50-50. So the lesson that God showed Cain is that you thought by eliminating your brother, you will have the whole earth. What if I eliminate everything from you from growing? And what you start seeing that Cain, he builds a city. Why build a city? Cities are keys. Cities are financial destinations. I'm from New York City and I understand this story very well. Why? New York City is so small. Wall Street is such a small place. Israel is such a small place where everyone knows each other. So the lesson is here is partnership. If you want to grow the pie, if you want to grow your business, the more people, the more partnership you have around you, the bigger the pie gets. If you're trying to be a solopreneur, and that's a key phrase in a lot of circles right now, you'll never get to where you want to be. It's not a solopreneur. You have to be an entrepreneur is everyone, which is the keys to this is partnership. If you don't have money, find investors. If you don't have this, find other people that you can partner with. And now with AI, Kevin, there's so many things that people can do alone where they can have like machines as their partners. Henry Ford knew this. He didn't need people. All he needed was arms. And now we have the assembly line. That's partnership. That's growing and growing the pie. And I believe that many of you that are listening are really understanding that why you're not reaching the goals that you want to do is you're trying to do everything yourself. And that's where you need the power of partnership. No one that has created success in their life has done it by their own. They've been other people and other people behind them that have helped them carry the torch. You have a great vision and a mission, people will follow you. Great leaders, people want to follow visionaries. You need to work on yourself on leadership. One of the books that I've been reading again is John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
Good book.
And there's a power of momentum. The power of Mo, which is as you start building and don't bypass the process. That's where that's the process is where you learn. You refine your skill sets in the process. Whether you're working late at nights, whether you're learning AI, whether you're learning about real estate, whether you're learning about stock, whether you have a gift where you have an inkling or you have a passion for something. For some of you, you have a passion to help others because there's things that bother you. You start asking yourself, whose tears affect you? Whose enemies are you willing to confront? Whose pain, whose story brings you pain? And or some of you have messages to a younger version of yourself, where God is just placing something in your heart that you want to give. I want to bring joy and happiness. I want to bring that to your life. And some of you have dreams or visions that haven't yet been unfulfilled. And God is waiting for you to say, hey, I'm going to turn pro. I'm going to do what I got to do. And many of you here are just like 3 feet away from gold. 3 feet away where you're plowing, you've been working, you've been tilling the land, and you don't see the results. And I'm here to just remind you, you're not far away. You're not where you used to be, but you're not where you want to be, but you're not where you used to be. And keep fighting, keep stepping forward, and enter into the destiny that God has waiting for you right now.
Dang. We should have ended on that, Felix. Like that.
Oh, bro, I got more, brother. We don't need to end on it. We got more, brother. There's more, brother.
Hey,
yeah, go ahead.
That was fantastic, Felix. Like, you actually dovetailed in our theme this year. I did a talk about Eadsbridge. So that's St. Louis stuff, right? But the vision, right, the dream was to connect East and West. We had the rivers, we had this, but it was like it never got done. We couldn't really cross the river. So think of the characteristics of this river here. Fast moving, you have steamships going up and down. It's over a mile wide, heavy currents, all these things. Bridge had to be tall, had to do this, dynamic loads, right? Trains were coming across, or that was the design. The vision was made by politicians, right? Let's connect this. Let's get Louisiana Purchase. Let's go to California, right? That was the vision, the dream. But at that time, the materials to build bridges was stone it was wood, and it was iron. And that wasn't enough to do it. What happened was the creation of steel. Steel could do those things. But what does it take to take steel? Well, you need extreme heat. You need the pressure. You need to put in additives, add the good stuff, and take out the bad stuff, right? So it's the self where it's that thing. And then once you do that, you have to finish. So our theme is each bridge is dream forge finish. So Felix, you just did a great pep talk, right? Motivation, which is built because you believe it. Let me ask you this. Usually that stems from your own forging moment, right? You said it just there. You're talking to your past self. A lot of what I do is this is what I needed 10 years ago, and it wasn't there. And I now fill that void of what I needed. Hearing your passion and conviction, to me, you had a forging moment. And I just had, what was it? Like, what did you fight that you're so passionate now on the other side?
I had to fight mediocrity. Being normal, and being normal sucks.
That was a Mary thing. Love it.
So this is the thing, is many of you here is there has to be a switch that clicks on in your life. I mean, no one can do it for you. I can have the passion, but you have to want to change. Some of you have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's an old phrase that we hear a lot, but what you tolerate, what you allow in your life, it's what dominates, and it what takes over. You know, my environment, my inner circle, it's not like I have a huge entourage, but my environment, I want to create my environment. That's why I want people who speak into my life. That's why I read books that inspire. That's why I listen to the Kevin Duragi podcast. That's why I do things like that, because I need inspiration. Think of it as motivation is like taking a shower. You don't just take a shower one day and just stop. I mean, you got to take it every day, sometimes 2 to 3 times a day. And you need that motivation. In addition, you need action. You can't just think. You got to pound the pavement. You got to work. Some people here are lazy. You want results, but you're lazy. Your work ethic doesn't match your dreams. And that's where a lot of you are stumped. You want this grandeur, but you don't want to work for it. And that's where some of you is like, it's 2025. So some of you feel, I'm 47. I haven't arrived. I don't feel like I'm at where I want to be. But that's why I keep working every day. I used to think that when I was 30, I had to have it all together. I have to have all my ducks in a row. I have to have this mansion. I have to have, a wife with 2.5 kids. I don't know where that 0.5 kid would come from, a white picket fence. And it wasn't that way. And I find that sometimes people find their genius in different stages in life. If I'm an athlete, my genius is generally during the younger years of my life. If I'm an entrepreneur, this is the one thing, as an entrepreneur, business owner, real estate investor, stock investor, I can find my genius anytime, whether I'm 50, I'm 55, 60, 65, 70, or 80. That's the thing, is you find your genius. And that's where I always say is that if you continue to work towards your craft, you will always grow. Kevin, there's always been a negative connotation to someone or something that's green. They always say, oh, something that's green, you're not ready, you're not done. You look at a fruit when it's green. This is the most beautiful thing about a fruit when it's green, is that there's always room for it to grow. Now, when the fruit starts to decay and it starts getting ripe and decaying, it falls off the tree. See, this is the beautiful thing. As long as you're like green, like a fruit, and stay green and be willing to learn and to deposit nutrients, the sun of excellence, the nutrients, the water of intelligence, just flower you, you can always grow. That's the beautiful thing. If you stay green, you always grow. And that's the thing of learning, getting better. Even as you get older with age, you start finding out that you start doing things in your 40s that you didn't do in your 30s. Some of you are in your 50s and you'll be doing things in your 50s that you didn't do in your 40s. And you start seeing that we go from glory to glory. But in order to go from glory to glory, you got to sometimes go from hardship to hardship.
You've made me think of my dad. So my dad's passed now 9 years, but he was in his 80s, and he would pull out an old calculus book and try to understand. Like, he's like, Kevin, I just always wanted to get this. And there's no tests, there's no homework, but he just wanted to understand calculus in his 80s. Not because of anything, but just it was a personal, like, stay green. And I bring him up a lot of my coaching that I do, Felix, because he didn't wake up, in life. He was, the era's dad. Like, mom raised us. Mom did all this stuff. Mom did this. Dad was there. He was married. He was a good man, but he shut it off. He was at work. You know what I mean? Like, but that was his job, was be at work. And like, I'd play catch. I'd throw the ball. If it didn't hit his catching hand, then I had to run, get it, run back, throw it, run back. It's what we do with the dog, Mm-hmm. But when he retired around 65, he woke up and he started loving people and became such this wonderful man that we had, about 20 wonderful years that he made such an impact to all these people, myself included. But it was like, dude, if you could have woke up earlier, how much more impact could you have made? So you've mentioned a strong mom here, right? And her fingerprints in your life. Can I ask about your dad?
Yeah. So my dad he's a wonderful man, and he's one of my best friends. So early on in life, like my parents are they're gonna celebrate 50 years. So my mom has dementia. So we have in a nursing home. So my father's story is a little different. Early during when him and my parents got married, around the 75, 75. My father went through what many families in New York City and LA went through, which is they have to go through the crack era. A lot of heroin, a lot of crack eras. We see the movies of Frank Lucas. You see a lot of movies of of some of these things that happened during the 80s. Well, we lived it. So even though my parents were together, my father was strung out on drugs during the 80s. So from like 2 years old to like around 15 or 16, my father was pretty much absent, was really in the streets. So my mom had to become the man. She worked 2 jobs. She raised us. I mean, really raised us. Now, there's a redemptive story on this because my father, I mean, we talked every day. I'm actually going to New York City tomorrow morning. So I was going to go today, but I was like, oh no, I gotta schedule this. I almost went to New York City. So I go visit him. He takes care of my mother. And when I was around 16, 17, he got his life right with God. And we saw what God did. And it took several years for our relationship to be repaired. I mean, there's no way around that. And many of you who have had issues with family members throughout time know that sometimes some healing takes years. And it did for us during like my 17 to around 20, 23. We've had a topsy-turvy relationship. But then that's where, going through Teen Challenge, getting my life right, we were able to like forge a relationship where I talk to him every day now. So now that my mom was diagnosed with dementia about 8 years ago, she's in a nursing home. And now I've seen how my father now is taking care of her. He visits her every day, takes her food. So you kind of see how the roles change when my mom was the one doing that, taking stuff in the house, and now he's the one doing that. So my father's a great man. I mean, I love him. I carry his middle name, and I am so proud that he is my father. And like every story, there's redemption in it. And if you find yourself that maybe you have an issue with a loved one, I mean, work it out. There's no other way to do that. I didn't want to go life and saying, hey, I wish I could have, because when they're gone, they're gone. And there's no way around that. So I have a peace now that my relationship with my father is strong. I get to see him tomorrow. So that's a pretty cool. I usually don't tell that story because everybody thinks it's just a single mom, but I should incorporate that more.
So you actually, it happens to be the next, so we do coaching, right? I call it life coaching, and it's 3 parts, right? We do a snapshot, right? Where are you now? And those tools are over at the website, kevindaragi.com/tools, that you can find out where you fit in this wheel of life, right? Your balance wheel. And the next part is dreaming, right? So we do exercises where you do things that you normally, things that are probably easy for us as visionaries. But if you don't have that skill set or if you've never used it, right, we need a dream of what these things are. What does a Felix 3.0 look like? And then we have to start doing the work, right? There's actual work. And the next one coming up is giving 3 Fs. I always like throwing that in because it's fun with F. But what do you need to forgive yourself for? Who do you need to forgive? And who do you need to ask forgiveness from? And it sounds like in your case, what you had to do is come up and find a way to forgive your dad.
Absolutely. It was one of the hardest things. And through that, I've had to learn how to forgive other people in my life. In the business world, let's just be realistic. Anyone who's done business, you deal with cutthroat people. People who will do you wrong, people who will, and there's sometimes where you have to forgive. And that's something that God has worked with me. I'm not perfect on that because I'm the one that wants to help out God and help him get revenge. Like, let me help you out, God. You busy with the world. Let me take care of this person.
I got this one.
I got this. Let me help you out, bro. And forgiveness is an important tool. Forgiveness is never for the other person. It's really for you. Wherever you focus your energy, where your energy flows, that's where everything goes. So sometimes some of you focus on energy and unforgiveness. It's hurt me at certain times in my life. Where I'm like, man, I'm so bitter, where I'm like, just forgive them. I'm sorry, move on. Doesn't mean you have to be their BFF. Doesn't mean you have to talk to them every day. But there's sometimes where you need to let God take care of it. Let them earn their recompense from God. Let God be the rightful judge. And you never know where God is going to take them, that he's going to teach them a lesson that they need you in the way. And or you never know what God is trying to teach you as a person, whether you have empathy for people and feel not sorry for them, but just have empathy. And there's times where it's just, hey, this is the person you're not supposed to do business with. Just be friendly and move on. And God bless you. See ya.
But you don't. What is it? It's likened to a poison, right? You keep taking this poison, hoping they die. Dude, just get it out of the way. Best story I have for that, Felix, and I talk about this in the Tale of Two Coaches, one of our podcast episodes. It's funny, like we share more of our failures, right? Because that's your biggest learning event. But for mine, like I got baptized into a cult. Like I was helping a guy kind of brainwashed me into thinking different things, right? And it was Palm Sunday. So just recently, so Palm Sunday, 18 years ago, I could say I became truly a Christian, like walking in the faith. But if it wasn't for this guy doing kind of bad things, I wouldn't be I wouldn't be able to use that kind and gentle name that I was given, right? So talking about forgiveness, some people are like, dude, don't you like hate that guy? Don't we want to, mess with? And I'm like, I think I forgave him as soon as it was over. It was like one of those like, man, he played his role in my life. I needed that. Doesn't mean we got along. We there was a lot of danger next to each other because he was a large, intimidating fellow and we worked in close proximity and we were not friends for a long time. But it was like, I forgave him instantly. It didn't mean I was friends with him. But then after a while, I started feeling sorry for him. Like he's trapped in this. So, you know, it was just like, oh my gosh.
Absolutely. It's a hard thing, especially when you deal with money. How do you trust someone with money? And it's you friendly with them, but no, I mean, I trust everyone, but I always count my change.
So you said change, and you also brought up John Maxwell, right? The power of Mo is what you brought up. My favorite there is the pocket leadership. Do you remember this one?
Absolutely.
I use that so often because really in our journey, we're becoming leaders, right? And just leveling up our leaders. And we shouldn't be scared of that. Our job really is to start, how can I replace me to do what I'm doing now so I could do bigger things, you know, or do more of them. But people get scared of that. But it's that pocket change of leadership. And if you're not familiar, average listener, you do a good thing, right? Say I open a door, or I do this, or grow. You know, I say we're going to meet at 10:30, and we meet at 10:30. I was there, great. You know, those are like the little things that's putting pocket change in your pocket. So one day, if you miss an appointment, or you're late, or you just drop the ball, somebody could cover you. And it's not a big deal as long as you still have enough change in your pocket. COVID, like we actually found this out with leadership during COVID, had to be a super tough time, right? Because we didn't have all the information. We didn't know what was around the corner. We didn't know what we don't know. And there's a lot of fear. And it was a really difficult time for people to step up. You know, and if you got up and wagged your fingers on something, man, there was this side that would come and take you off. If you came up and did it the other way, this side would come and chew you alive. Like, it was a tough time to be a leader. But that's where some of the people who really thrived there was like, hey, here's the situation. Let's all just go about this way. Like, be civil. Like, we could have some boundaries. But man, a lot of people didn't have enough pocket change there to survive that. So,
absolutely. And for those that are listening out there, if being a leader is really doing what others won't do, and being a leader is not easy. I've been around great leaders. I've been around some horrible leaders. One of the traits that I see about good leaders is that they care about their people. For anyone that ever did that to me, I would do anything. I would move earth and any mountain for them. People want to know that you care. You have to. There's a thing called the servant leadership. I love that approach. When people know that you're approachable, when people know that you have an open door policy, when people know that you actually care, they will do anything for you. Organization is really dependent on the people that it works there. That's the company culture. As a leader, you should implement the company culture you want. Caring. Yeah, we want goals. Yes, we want to achieve. That's good stuff. I love that stuff because I'm a competitor. At the end of the day, I want to win too. So that's why business owners are like that. We're competitors. And what keeps score is our money. It really is what keeps score. So you try to see that leaders really build up people, and you build up others within you, you know, and you start seeing that you place the right people in the right positions. That is another key. You can have great people that are in wrong positions in your organization and they will destroy it. You got to hear me out. You can have right people, right hearts. I mean, I've had people that, hey, I just want to come here and be a blessing. And they end up destroying what you've been working for, because it's not that they were the wrong person in the wrong position. And that's where I look at like personality. Like for me, I'm a big visionary. I need someone who's a driver and takes my vision and runs with it and be like, okay, we need to do this, and this. We need to have this systems in place. I'm like, okay, you know, I think that way. Mm-hmm. So like, and that's where you start seeing that leadership. Everything flows from leadership, man. Everything goes there.
That's why, like, more than it, and to be able to do that, you got to work on yourself first.
You do.
Like that's, you know, most important real estate.
Absolutely. That is.
But really leadership, and it's also, it's actually funny you just said servant leader. I'm drawing up my next talk, and that was actually one of the main points is, why are we gaining leadership? It's actually to serve. It's one of those, it's funny how that cycle works.
It is the key to wealth. Hear me out. If you guys heard anything here, the key to wealth is this. You find a problem that nobody else can solve, and you do it cheaper and faster, and you serve humanity. Serving, not making money. That's where your wealth is. God wants you to serve humanity. Microsoft, think of this. Microsoft is in every device, even on an iPhone right here. It's on every device. That's why Bill Gates is rich, because he serves so many people. I willingly gave him money for it. So the key to wealth here is serving. Like, that's where, like, in real estate, that's what real estate is an easier one to comprehend. Is I like apartment complexes because I get to serve more people. I get to house more people. I get to serve them. That's the key. Many of you have restaurants, or you serve people. You make sure that they're fed. You serve them that way. Some of you have products, services. You serve people with your gift, with your talent, with your business. That's the key there. You serve people, money comes. The more people you serve, that's where you start scaling. That's where you start building business and systems. Don't be a onesie and a twosie type of person. Think big, think scaling, and you'll start seeing that there's more to the pie for everyone to eat.
Dude, that's great. So we are actually winding up on time here, Felix, but let me ask you this. If you could go back and give advice to a younger Felix, right? I don't know which part it was. Maybe it was during the lawsuit. Maybe it was during all the debt right out of college there. Maybe it was in some of that pre-COVID time there. If you could give yourself some advice that you needed to hear there, that you can now tell somebody out there in a similar situation, what kind of advice do you think you'd give?
What I would tell myself is that you got the goods. Stop being afraid of what people think and just go for it. Really, that's what I would tell myself. I used to be afraid of what other people would think if I was, trying a business, or, they're going to make fun of me, or, that would, like, I could care less now what people think. I used to look for the applause of people. Now I'm looking for the applause of God right now. So I'm looking to live in purpose. I don't care about stuff. I'm really looking to live for purpose. And that's where, if there's something that you take out, live for purpose. Really live for purpose. COVID changed a lot of people's mentality for the good. Where, many before, people would come they want to have the Lamborghinis, they want to have the fancy house. But now that message has changed for purpose. And that's what I feel like that's true riches. We're not earth. If you're here on earth for 85 years, 90, that's not a long time compared to eternity. So occupy, take advantage of the time that God has given you. You want to hear that, well done, thy good and faithful servant. And that's why, I tell people, what would you do if failure wasn't an option? And that's where the thing is, many of people would go, kind of put a lot of things on the line, but that's where work ethic meets vision. And if work ethic and vision don't intersect together, you really only have a dream.
So I'm going to end on this, right? So I think the first time I asked it was with Pip, and I felt like you just did great. Is there a quote, a poem, a meaning, like something that you just hang on to? Some people keep something in their wallet. Some people put their affirmation on the wall. Some people have, like this, like for me, it's man in the arena, right? The Theodore Roosevelt quote. Like, those are the things that when I'm like, oh man, I don't want to do that, or I'm scared, and I think about, all right, man, the arena does step up. They don't care what they blah, 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 blah. Is there something you hold on to like that?
I've had a long a scripture verse that I've always held on to, that anytime when I wasn't feeling well, it was one that I would cling to. and it's from a book in the Bible that hardly nobody reads. It's from Lamentations. It's Lamentations 3:22 and 23. It says, "It is of the Lord's mercies that we're not consumed, for his loving kindness fails us not. They are new every morning, and great is thy faithfulness." So no matter what I'm going through, I can rest assured that God's mercies are new every day. No matter what I did the day before, that maybe I could have been a better parent, I could have been a better husband, I could have been a better employee, I could have been a better whatever, entrepreneur. God's mercies are new every morning. And there's nothing that you can do that God would say would never turn. He would never turn his back on you. He will always say he will accept you, whether it's good or bad. And his mercies are new every day. And that's what I hold on to, is that my hope is that I know I'm made for heaven. This is a temporary suit, but my home is heaven, and I'm homesick for a place that I've never been to before, and that's what I cling on to.
Dude, that's fantastic! Great job, Felix.
Thank you,
guys. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on and listening and following along with us. We are super thankful for all the love and support that you guys give us. Felix, thank you for jumping on. I really do appreciate you sharing your message. I actually don't think we talked that much real estate at all in that conversation, but
we'll have to do this another time.
But wait, there's more. So, Felix, thank you, and thank you everybody for jumping on and sharing your time with us.